Welcome to the Vegan Transformation. I'm your host, Angela Crawford. I'm a psychologist, a transformational coach, and a vegan educator. And I'm passionate about the power of a plant-powered vegan lifestyle for mind, body, and spirit thriving and transformation, and also to create a kinder, healthier, more sustainable world. And on the Vegan Transformation, I hope to inspire and empower you wherever you are on your veg journey. Want to give you tips and tools to thrive emotionally and feel your best while you're living or moving to a vegan lifestyle. And today I'm really excited to introduce you to my guest, JJ. And I'm going to let you have a bigger introduction to all that she's doing as we meet. But first, just want to welcome you and so glad you're here. Is that what people usually call you, JJ? Is JJ?
Yes, uh-huh.
Yes.
Yep, JJ. Some people call me Jen, but I traditionally always go with JJ. And but people have a preference. I'll answer to either one. Um,
Awesome.
that's like my initials, and so I was kind of coined with that name by my little sister when she couldn't pronounce Jennifer. And throughout, I think my uncle might have called me that too, my mom, every now and then. So it just came out of nowhere, like most nicknames, right? But thank you. I really appreciate you having me on, and I love everything that you're doing. I love your channel, your content, and all your insights and your information you send in emails. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad you're here. And JJ, as you will discover, is also known as Veganowledge. And she shares an awful lot of great knowledge through all of her work. So we will be diving into that, all that you do, JJ, and kind of your own path of discovering how to bring your gifts forward to help others and empower others. So I'm excited to get into this conversation. We've known each other for a little while, at least a year or more, I think, through different groups we've been part of and me being on your podcast or YouTube channel and sharing conversations and me talking to you to learn about your journey as part of the inspiration for my book. So excited to talk to you now. I have to take a sip of water. I feel like I'm gonna cough. Back after a brief pause, all of a sudden that dry throat just totally kicked in. But I wanted to just ask you, JJ, can you share about how you became plant-based and then fully vegan? Just if you wouldn't mind filling us in about your journey.
Oh, absolutely. So, my partner Dawn was really getting into growing like sprouts and microgreens, and she came across this video and she was like, "Hey, look at this!" And it was this video called Raw. And this is, I mean, the day before I probably had a steak or chicken. Like I was standard American diet growing up all the way. Like we always thought we had to have meat on our plate, meat's protein. So this was like kind of a interesting video because it had people healing like diabetes and all kinds of chronic illness and losing weight and everything on just feeling vibrant. Like they all looked like their skin was so glowing. They were healing on these raw living foods, as they called them, like with fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. And I know it sounds funny to say it now, but like that was a concept I had never thought of, like eating uncooked, you know, food and eating whole foods like that and not eating, meat and dairy and things like that. So, I was like, I'm at my highest weight. I had always tried different diets, and I said, I'm going to do this little experiment. I'm going to try this for 3 days. I'm going to go ahead and go out. And I went out that day. And I always say, like, especially while I'm helping people, that I think that's why I took action right away, is why it was successful. Because if I had, "Oh, I might try that one day," you can say that, and then you end up just life happens and you never do it. But I went out and got all these, fruits and vegetables. I got like celery, tomatoes, lettuce, anything that I knew in my like life what was vegan or what was vegetables and fruits. And so I wouldn't eat all day because I was kind of already on that. Like I was pretty busy. We had a business we were running, so I just drink coffee in the morning. I was a big breakfast eater, so I just would fast all day, and then at dinner time, I would make this huge salad, like, and I think I even like sent you a picture of that before, where it literally, like, every night as I'm chopping my vegetables, I would get like so excited and like listen to health benefits of this, like cucumbers, or I would basically like listen to a transformational story of someone healing from eating raw or not even raw, but like plant-based diet. And it just like invigorated me to keep growing my salad. So like by the time it was like up to here, and like it would fill me up. I'd eat a little bit of nuts if I was still hungry, or, just basically this went for 3 days, but I felt so good I couldn't stop. Like I was like, okay, I can do this. Like this is somehow changing me. I don't know what it is, but I feel more energetic. I feel like just like I feel good, like better than I've ever felt. And within like I would say like about 30 days, I started to notice that this chronic back pain I had for years, like 18 years, started to disappear. I noticed my weight was coming down, but I felt like also like that season I didn't have my same like seasonal allergies that would really plague me. Like, I mean, I'm talking like I'd wake up most mornings within from like May to like August with just really stuffy head. Sometimes I'd get bad colds and bronchial, and that never has reappeared in like, in all these years. And I know you also mentioned, when did I go vegan? Well, I felt like, looking back on it, I was plant-based at that time, or plant exclusive. But like about 6 months in, I started to like I had actually lost too much weight, in my opinion, I felt, and I started like looking into more whole food plant-based diet options. And
It's just raw, you mean?
as opposed to just raw. I started adding in some whole, cooked foods, and I got into like vegan groups, and different things would pop up in the news feeds, and I would be like, wait, okay, this is like there. I didn't know anything about like what happens in the dairy industry and the meat industry, and I started learning about all these things, and it like all of a sudden clicked that, that animals, like the pets that I have, come here, Neo. He's like, every time I start
Aw.
talking about the pet, did you hear your name? Or I was about to talk about so
Aw.
anyway, I started connecting that cats and dogs were no different than cows, and I learned what happened in the dairy industry, and I think that made me really know what veganism was. I started to see that connection, and that perception of the whole entire world started to change, and it just evolved from there, where it wasn't like, oh, I would ever have a cheat meal now, like I'll have a burger. It's like, no, this became like in my heart and ethical, that I would not support that industry. So while I feel like some people go from vegan, like animal activism, to over to the like, okay, now I want to get healthy with it. It sort of went backwards, I guess, for me, or I don't know what the right way to do it is, but that's why I feel like I always say, like, however we can introduce people to this, however you come in. For me, it was to lose a couple of pounds, and now I'm a animal activist, and this is my whole life's purpose later on down the line. So like we never know what little morsel of inspiration someone will get, and you don't have to know everything all at once. Like it could evolve like it did for me.
Wow. That's such an inspiring story. And as you're talking, like so many different thoughts coming up. One, what you just shared about the different doors through which we enter into a vegan lifestyle, that certainly came up in my book interviews for my forthcoming book that's coming out next year, The Vegan Transformation, A Journey to Heal Yourself and the World. Some of the people I interviewed came through this door for health reasons. They found the whole food plant exclusive lifestyle, and they, began to eat solely plant foods. And in doing so, we're eating a vegan diet, which, sometimes we think the word vegan is so mysterious, as you and I were talking about earlier, like, oh, it's got to be these specialty foods. But, I think all of us eat vegan sometimes, if you're eating a salad that just has vegetables and fruits on it, or nuts and, or beans, that's vegan. If you're eating pasta marinara, a bean burrito. There's just so many things that we eat that are plant-based that are truly vegan foods. It doesn't have to be fancy.
Mhm.
Um, and in fact, the healthier version of eating vegan often is that more whole food, lifestyle that you were describing. And so, yeah, like a lot of people I interviewed came in, some came in through the health door. And then over time, just like you, because they weren't eating animals anymore, became more aware and open to what's happening in animal agriculture and other industries that's so harmful. And as you're saying, is something that really goes against, for most of us, our compassion for animals.
Mhm.
That we care about dogs and cats, and somehow we've learned to compartmentalize, cows and pigs and other, animals that we think of as farm animals. So you awoke to that on that journey. And also, I think what's so remarkable too is the healing that happens so quickly for you. That
Mhm.
within a few days you felt different, you felt more alive, more energy, and then in a very short time you'd released physical pain, seasonal allergies, and extra weight that you were ready to release. And it just sounds like in so many ways it's changed your life.
It really had, and I felt like I had discovered a miracle, like I can't believe I had never heard of this like in the mainstream. Like, why are people not announced? Like, I was researching and reading and looking up YouTubes and things like that. Sorry, he's
I
being
love seeing your cat.
he likes knocking things over. He helps me keep things clean, I'll tell you that, because he'll
Yeah.
just go by and knock them all off. I love animals. But he's really he's energetic for sure. But I like just started to like wonder why this is so, it felt hidden to me because
Yeah.
it felt like I had to dig through information. But once I looked for it, it was very readily available. I mean, I realized there was this whole community of people and people like Dr. Barnard that
Mhm.
I really learned a lot from in the beginning there of his, I loved his content and his kind of, and what the health was a really big one.
Mhm.
Gary Yourofsky, who was did the speech, and like there were so many influential people that I found, and so many people like me, just like JJ, who were just like people, regular people that were standard American diet, and they were healing everything that you could imagine. And I was like, for me, it started with health and it kind of, I delved into that a lot. But like over time, it started to really like weigh on me, the world, the way it was that people were dismissing, kind of that, like you said, that compartmentalization. So I feel like I have like a really strong focus on like a lot of nutritional research. But you and I talk about this, that in school I studied psychology, which is one of the reasons I love your work and I can't wait to read your book. But I'm waiting patiently for it to come out. But I was like, what is the perception that shifted in me, and how can I wake up each day and put, what I have to offer out to the world to help people make that shift, and I think that's all it is. It was like a perception shift. Now, when I watch a cow running around, and enjoying itself and turning around and the little mannerisms it makes, or a fish or a goat, whatever it is, like I don't see like I used to see, oh, that's a cute animal, but I could go and have that same animal unknowingly or knowingly or unconsciously just eat that animal and know that, I didn't know, but like somewhere along the line, we know that that's not a pleasurable experience for animals. And then I also learned we don't need that to survive. And in fact, I was healing from it, from not eating animals. So I'm like, this whole connection
Yeah.
is like, I don't know if it's like innate, but it seems like every time I talk about the connection between animals and pets, he appears. I feel people are
Aw.
gonna think I pay him for this. I pay him cat treats to come and appear every time I talk about the connection of farm and animals. And just like our compassion, everyone has this compassion for humans. I mean, I think we all have, empathy and compassion, and there are so many like we're all good people innately in our mind, and I think it's just I don't know if it's a lot of responsibility to learn that information. So I think that's maybe why people scroll past it really fast or maybe don't comment or want to know because it's really it's easy once you kind of know, but you have to be a strong person to change and a little bit of inconvenience at first, maybe learning how to replace protein with something else, that but we all love what we eat. I realized every vegan I've talked to has never feels deprived or wakes up like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna eat. Like we all make it happen. And I feel like how can we get people from this stage where I was, and to this particular place where you make that connection or at least begin to. And I think that's what we're all, kind of working to do. And I think one of the things that people say sometimes like you eat the way you want to, I'll eat the way I want to. And while I agree that we all have that choice, I think the reason vegans, so what I like to put out there is the reason it seems maybe we're like some people say, so you're pushing your diet on people or you're pushing vegan, or why do you always have to talk about it? And I think it's because we are fighting for we feel those that don't have a voice, like for the animals. So it's not just what we eat, or I'm trying to tell you not to eat sugar or salt. It's so much deeper than that. It's become for me, while I have a passion to help people with their health. And if you want to heal, like this is also the blueprint to do it. But like, if you're really look deeper within, there's a even greater reason to do it, for animals, I really truly believe. But again, like I don't, judge anyone because for me it's only been 6 years. Like I was just that person that didn't make the connection or didn't want to.
Yeah, for so much of our upbringing, we're taught, we're conditioned, we're indoctrinated even that we need to eat meat and dairy to thrive. I know I grew up in the Midwest. I
Mhm.
certainly got that message and I bought into it that I needed it to thrive. It was a series of events that I think that awoke me to the possibility of, being first vegetarian and then over time vegan. It's so interesting what you're saying that I really see in so many vegans this whole mind, body, spirit transformation because it's, on the one hand, especially if you eat a whole, predominantly whole foods version of a vegan diet, it certainly can lead to many health changes. And as you were saying, this is not readily available, and so many people are suffering health-wise that it's really unfortunate because, even though it was in the 90s that Dean Ornish showed that he could help people reverse even severe heart disease with a plant-based diet and other healthy lifestyle changes. And like we still don't hear about this,
Right. And
and so many other doctors, Dr. Esselstyn also showed that very same thing. And then as you mentioned, Dr. Barnard has done a lot of amazing research with type 2 diabetes and women's hormonal issues, and Dr. Brooke Goldner with autoimmune disease. So there's all these doctors that have led the way to show that a healthy plant-based nutrition along with other healthy lifestyle changes can be so transformative for our health, but we just don't get that message often in the media for whatever reasons. Maybe, I don't know, I have different theories about that, but regardless, so I think when we do take that path and we discover, not only kind of help with many of the health issues that are so common in our time, but also that it helps so many other things that deep down most of us really care about, like, certainly animals. Obviously, that's just the biggest thing, and the planet. And like you, while I'm thrilled about the health part of it, because I have a family history of heart disease, I happen to have been fairly fortunate to be healthy at the time I went vegetarian and then vegan. And so now the health part is more important as I age, definitely. But it is the animals that makes me stick to it 100%, because it's just sort of when you really take in what happens, you just I didn't want to, like you, didn't want to contribute anymore. And there's such peace, that for many of us that comes with knowing there is at least something we can do. There's a lot of things in the world we can't do much about. But I think part of why so many of us as vegans find this deep purpose and fulfillment is, wow, this one thing can have such an impact on so many things we care about. And it's just deeply fulfilling. And, so it sounds like not only for you physically did you feel better, but it sounds like as your journey unfolded, there have been emotional and maybe even spiritual changes. Do you want to share anything about that?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I just feel like I was touching on this earlier, but I just started seeing the world differently and like seeing each living being differently. It's like, things that, you just kind of took for granted, or the different ways that we might exploit animals. It helps you really zone in on that, and that, like you said, fuels that compassion in you. Like, I even feel like I became more compassionate to people in some ways. Like, I was always a pretty kind, compassionate person, but it really opened me up to seeing the perception, or the feeling the, I guess, like, let me see this from their perspective. Because once you see it from animals' perspective and you're able to stop judging this animal as food and this animal as a pet, you start to really feel that connection with all humans too, and not judging where they're coming from, because they're all just like we're all one. We're all human animals and animals alike, and we're all just, the main thing we want is to live happily and peacefully, and to survive. And it's like the fact that I didn't realize this, but sometimes in our standard American or standard Western diet, we just feel like the animals are there to eat, and that's how we're taught and brought up, and like you said, media influence and things, and that I think what really made a connection with me is when I learned that we are breeding the animals to use for food, and that's like we're using them as a commodity, or like, I guess, it's like we're bringing these animals into the world only to have torture. And some people are like, no, it's humane and things. And I'm like, no, but there is a feeling I can see when my cat or dog, and I think everyone can, any pet you've had, is in fear and knows what's going to happen. And you don't want to have to put animals through that. And I just think if it were necessary, I get that. But once you learn that people are surviving and thriving without meat and dairy, it's like your life changes in some way, even no matter how small you put these things out there, whether it's talking to someone at the grocery store, you feel like you're doing your part. If someone comments on your cart full of food, or you might wear a vegan, shirt like I like to wear, or, you might not do any of that. Maybe you share this particular live stream out that you're watching. Maybe you're not someone who wants to publicly put it out there, but you might be your inspirational journey might be inspiring those in your community or around you. Maybe you want to take it even further, like you, and maybe you're a writer and you write a book, or you want to make a video, and put it out there. Maybe you're just so many different things you can do. I feel like we look at this like, oh, I'm not into being on camera. Well, I certainly wasn't. This is uncomfortable for me. Hopefully you can't tell, but like, I do it because now it's my purpose. Like, it's what inspires me, like, to create the Facebook group was the first thing I created, and called it Veganowledge, because I also felt that while I can tell people over and over, go vegan, you shouldn't eat animals, you should do this for your health. If you don't have the knowledge, or like a step-by-step guide, I mean, you don't know where to start. So it always stays as an idea. So that was my intention for helping, and I'm feel a little more comfortable writing sometimes than speaking it. So I'm like, I can post things and explain to people, how to become vegan, or give them little tips, or explain to them why the raw foods I love work, and how to help people increase their fruits and vegetables and all this stuff. And then it turned into, like you said, like interviewing other people on a YouTube channel. I was like, well, maybe if I give them examples of other people, not just JJ that you've known for 10 years, and she might be, it's like, I'm not trying to sell anything. I'm just trying to sell you health. And, at this point when I started it, I'm like, and I didn't understand also a lot of the resistance. I think we go through that as somebody who's really excited about something, and you almost get this wake up call of like, okay, all my friends and family don't want to hear about this. Or, they're like, okay, well, that's good for you, but that's not for me. And I'm thinking, we're so excited and overzealous at that point to want to tell them everything about it, and then I kind of went into I'm just gonna do it and be that person, and just now put the information out there, and those that will be drawn to it, it'll come to them in time. Like, I have to remember that 42 years went by before I knew any of this, but I also wanted to make it a mission to make sure that it's out there now, and do any part that I can. And I think community is so important. Like, the empowered vegan community that you host, and like, any Facebook groups, whole food plant-based groups, like any group you can get in, if they have a weekly meeting or something like that. It's so awesome to like be able to, I've actually met some of my best friends online, like Marakita, who we both talk. I speak to her every day, at some point now. So it's like you can really, surround yourself with other people who have these ideals, and like it's easier to keep it going, because in your regular work and day-to-day life, and maybe even the people that live in your household, like, don't want to participate in this yet. They're not there yet. So I think having that sense of community can really help people too, and it has helped me definitely as I move forward, because it's like, we need to have that around us to be able to vent these things out to be able to ask for guidance to people that are experienced, so
Mhm.
I'm just excited about all of it. Like,
Mhm.
it totally like gets me excited to put this information out there and help people.
Well, and I want to follow up on some of what you just said in terms of like overcoming some of the social challenges that we face, when others around us are not open. But before I go there, and the whole importance of community, which I so agree. Before we go there, though, really quickly, share about what, about your Facebook group and anything you offer that, and how people can connect with you, because I do want to just make sure we get that there. I will put it in the description as well, but just can you let us know about your Facebook group and anything you offer that you want people to be aware of and how they can connect with you?
Yes, that's awesome. Yeah, my Facebook group is called Veganowledge, like, but without the K, so it's just one word, Veganowledge. And that's like I think a really great community where we just share everything, any, knowledge. I even do, like, I'll have a post where everybody can share their own influencer page or businesses. I just feel like, as much, I tried to put out Motivational Monday. We do like a Trivia Tuesday to make it fun. We do like what's your favorite or what I eat Wednesday. We've had a couple of little Wednesday activities, Thankful Thursday and Friday fun, just kind of like making it so that it's kind of like, I wake up and go, I'm going to go to that page and figure out what's today's activity, so that I can, learn about veganism. If you're new, I welcome anyone, like you said, that's transitioning. There's a lot of people there who also have a lot of years of experience. And then that led, I have a YouTube, Veganowledge JJ, but my show, Amazing Transformations, interviews, plant-based experts. You've been on there, and talking about just your transformation, your book, and also like just people who've transformed their health and life with this, and also people who are experts in the field, even doctors, and you know, um, and then also I just recently, about I guess about 6 months ago, created an email, kind of like a free email list and club. I call it Amazing Plants Formers VIP, which is vegan inspiring person instead of very important person. And it's free to join. I think I sent you the link, and it's just a way. We have like a community messenger that we go on. It's a way to just get a little more personalized help and a sense of community. And then I do have like an upgrade to that if you want a bit more personal help, that you can do. And it's very, very low cost monthly. But if you want to like work with me in a little more of a setting like that, where we can, just we do like the meetings once a week, and just really I think that's the biggest thing that I'm trying to do. Is I have like workshops that are all free with the membership, where I'm coming out with like a course and a book, and a lot of I think a lot of what I like to do is just give people the things that you just assume everybody knows, but they don't. Sometimes it's just a mental motivation to keep you going. It's answering these questions like, what is protein plant-based, and here's a couple of meal options, and here's how I did this, and here's how I'm feeling today, or you might be feeling, and here's how it can help you, and just encouraging people. I think we need that. So that's really the three things that, or four things, I guess. And I have Instagram and TikTok, other social media, but those are the email list is what I'm most excited about, because I can stay connected and you can reply and ask me a question, and I'll always be replying. I include my phone number in there, like text messaging. I'm like, I just want to give away all this information that I can, and if you choose to make a donation or buy like an ebook or join my membership, I'm so grateful, because it just helps me to keep getting the word out there. Like you said, I do this right now as a part-time, well, it's my whole life. It's not really part-time, but it's
Mhm.
every moment that I'm not working. So, I hope at some point to be able to transition my career to be able to help people. It would be a dream of mine. So that definitely helps support that mission when you join my membership. So
That's awesome. And all those links will be in the description under the YouTube videos. So certainly, scroll down and check those out. And I've read what you write in your posts. You write beautifully, and you give such a nuanced and kind of in-depth understanding of whatever it is you're covering, whether it's more kind
thank
of
you.
oriented towards the health aspects and the how-to, or more of the compassion and the ethics, and just all those things. You just cover it in such a caring and beautiful way. So I highly recommend people join your group and other ways that they can connect with you. I did want to ask you, we just have a little time left. Share a little bit about, were some of the social aspects of being plant-based and vegan challenging, since your family and others might eat differently? Or were there other challenges early on? And how have you coped with those? How did you deal with those?
Yeah, I think initially, like I said, they like I felt like everyone would really absorb this and be
Mhm.
like, I'm on board. Okay, what do I got to do? I just, because I thought, something made me do it. I came from the same background as everyone, and like once I heard it, it shifted me, and I was starting to move in that direction of health. And then you realize that people aren't always ready or in that same position you are. So you really have to I think what I had to learn was that I had to refocus and not get discouraged in that, and really put the information, like what I do to educate people. I feel like helps me mentally cope with that, looking at the world. Oh, people are getting sick, they don't realize they can heal. This person, said they were going to do it, but I see them still drinking milk and eating, and it can get mentally depressing if you don't like shift your perspective to say, I'm going to do what I can and really put this positively out there, explain to people how to do it. And I feel like those people that are ready will magnetize to it. And if they're not, we're planting a seed that they'll come around later on, hopefully, and I'll be there ready and willing to help when they're ready. And I think the closer people are to you, it's harder too because you want to help them change, but people have to be ready. And that's one of the things I've had to realize. I think socially, like I've always been a little bit of a different person. I don't know how to say it. So like I was able to uh, like pretty much be that person that says, you know what, no, this is what I'm eating. But I think, everybody kind of, they could, at first they were making jokes, and there's still a lot of questions when they go to the holiday and you're eating plant-based food instead of what everyone else is. But I think it's important that we gel with people in those settings to be able to inspire, and we don't have to push it on people, but hey, oh, you've lost weight, what did you do? And you can simply explain it, but not in like a, you need to do this. The more we can use our own experience, and like I've learned to just use those I messages like you have talked about a lot, explain your journey, explain you thought about the things the way they did. And I think that's the way we can slowly inspire change, because we all have a way of how we put this information out there. And while there is a place for, I'm so thankful and proud of the activists that go and stand and demonstrate, and they're putting this information right in front of people so that, but I also think there's a big need for things like what you're doing, the way we're helping people to see and make those connections, and putting people's stories out there and doing it in kind of a gentle way, an understanding way too, that helps guide people to where we need them to go without pushing them away. And I think that's one of the ways I've overcome the struggle, is just realize it's okay to be me. I don't have to eat what everyone else is eating. This is what's going in my body. This is going to be me, whether I'm healthy when I'm, later on in life, or maybe even tomorrow. Everything makes a difference what I put in. I choose not to eat animals. That's ethically how I choose to live. So regardless of what anyone else is eating or doing, I can be different but still have connections with people, and in doing that I can hopefully inspire them to start to look into it. Just, if you're listening to this for the first time and you're just making all these connections, it can be a little bit scary, but just do one thing at a time. You don't have to learn everything right away. Try to maybe one plant-based meal. For health changes, I will say that if you want to get healthy like I did within 30 days, I do believe giving up meat and dairy right away is important. But if ethically and health, it's just, it really, I think, overwhelms me, to want to help people. But I've had to realize in my struggle of that, to take a step back and do it in a way that inspires change and not inspires people to run from it.
Yeah. Yeah, just all the things you mentioned, holding a mindset of kind of patience, compassion, and being realistic about the process of change. As much as so many of us would like to see change immediately, most of us aren't granted that much power to see that happen, for other people. And other people have to, as you say, be open. And so in the meantime, finding how we're each called to bring our own gifts forward. And so you've found a way to bring your gifts to support and empower people in a positive way on this journey. And yeah, learning to navigate that, it's sometimes hard. Vegans maybe 3% of the population, we hope growing. And sometimes it's hard to be that forerunner, but you're holding that space very beautifully and inviting others in for their health, for compassion, and for the planet.
And
So,
I would say, like, think about one of the things I like to, the messages I like to put out is think about what you're adding to your life. Like, don't just think, I have to give up animals, I have to give up dairy. Think about, oh, look at all these beautiful, like, fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds. If you're creative and you love to cook, you can always, there are like even raw food chefs that put together amazing creations. Or if you like to cook, make different combinations, like get creative with it, get excited, go out and buy all like how when we bought school supplies as a kid,
Mhm.
it got
Yeah.
us excited, get into it, and you'll realize that you all of a sudden don't feel like you're giving up or lacking anything. And in fact, you'll start to realize I'm making a difference in the world. I'm standing up for, animals. I'm putting the right stuff if you want to do whole food plant-based or, raw or high raw, whatever. When you incorporate good foods, you start to feel better, and like it's got to start somewhere though, and it can just start with a little shift in perspective. That's all. It sounds complicated, but it's really not, and all of us are here to help you.
Yeah. And, again, through all that you offer a lot of great resources as people are trying to get started. And, what's really neat is it doesn't take that long for taste buds to reset where like healthy, clean food,
Mhm.
living food, as you say, tastes so awesome.
It
So
really
you just
does.
discover these beautiful colors and flavors. And it just, later on, I started to wonder, gosh, why didn't I embrace this sooner? I mean, I know why I didn't because it wasn't the norm around me. And I think most of us
Yeah.
follow what's around us, what everyone else is doing. It's what's easiest. But when you take this leap, or steps towards this leap, it just can unfold so beautifully as you're describing. And there is a lot of support, as you're mentioning, for those that want to explore it, even if it's a baby step. So. Yeah. Well,
Absolutely.
thank you so much for coming on. Was there any final thoughts that maybe we didn't touch on that you wanted to mention before we wrap up?
Just that, I'm really thankful for you allowing me to come on and share this. I love everything you're doing, and I would just let people know that, wherever you are right now, I think all of us, for the most part, there's very little of us who were vegan from the start, of life. And so, that little shift, if you're starting to have that can happen, I would just ask you to do something little to act on it, because that can help build momentum. And remember that, everyone, and it's just, I would say, look at what you're adding to your life instead of what you're, subtracting. And I wish you all a lot of, health and wellness, and I thank you all for watching this, and I'm excited, to get to know you.
Well, thank you, JJ, for being here. And so for now, we'll wrap up. Thank you, everyone, for listening or watching the Vegan Transformation with me, your host, Angela Crawford. And I hope this interview, if it was inspiring or helpful to you, that you'll subscribe and listen to future, interviews and videos, and also share this with others who you might think could benefit. So, to your peace, compassion for the animals and the planet, we'll leave you now, and I hope you'll join us again soon.